Hey everybody, welcome back to One Seed, One World. Today I want to talk a little bit about potting soil and how all potting soils, bag potting soils, are not made equally. Especially what I'm talking about today is organic potting soils. I wanted to show you an example here of two different types of potting soil that I've been using and started with, and the difference in the outcome. Soil is such an important part of when you are starting your seedlings, growing a garden, and all of the things that are in it and what your plant needs. And when you're starting your seedlings out, you know, they don't need a whole lot. They basically, when they're first starting, your seeds to sprout them, you just need the right temperature, water, and the right amount of heat. But once the seeds sprout and your seedlings get going, they need more nutrients to feed them so they can grow up into big, strong, healthy plants. Now I want to show you something here. All these plants were planted on the same day. They were put in my mini greenhouses here behind me and had the same amount of watering, temperature, light, all that was exactly the same. The only difference was the type of potting soil that I started off with. So I got one type of potting soil from Lowe's, just your general big box store. They have this stuff called Harvest Organics. That is an organic potting soil mix. These Cherokee Purple plants, you can maybe see those there, hopefully it comes up in the light, is what's growing out of that particular potting soil, right? These Cherokee Purple plants were planted on the same day. Everything the same, the difference is I used a different type of potting soil. These were planted in potting soil that was made by Fox Farm. That Happy Frog is one that you might see. They have a couple of different versions, but the difference in these two plants is insane, or these two batches of plants. And like I said, the only difference was the potting soil. Now, both of these potting soils, they advertise that their ingredients are, a type of fertilizer, organic fertilizer, some perlite, composted wood products, like a forest product, wood, basically trees, bark, whatever, they compost it down. There's probably some lime in there or something along those lines, kind of a mix of things. But with the Harvest Organics, what I found, especially this year, was that the bags of their product, the wood is not composted down very much. You get big chunks of wood in it sometimes, and I'll have to see if I can get some here to show you. The soil isn't real fluffy, it's more like wet and compacted, whereas the Happy Frog is very light and fluffy. It's easy to work with. It holds moisture well. Harvest Organics does not so much. It tends to dry out very quickly. And so the main difference I saw was in the fertilizer that they put. Happy Frog from Fox Farms has composted like bat guano, worm castings, and that sort of thing. And some of their bags even have like seaweed and maybe some fish emulsion and stuff in there too. Whereas the Harvest Organics just use composted chicken manure. Now, and as a general rule, chicken manure should be pretty good, but something is going on here with the two, that they are both organic potting soil mixes, but one is so much better than the other. Granted, there is also a difference in price. The Harvest Organics runs probably around, for the same amount, maybe about $18 a bag for about 50 quarts, or 51 quarts I think it is. I had bought a smaller bag, it was like 32 quarts for like 10 bucks, but I think the bigger bags are like 17 or $18. Whereas the Happy Frog runs about $38 for the same amount of soil. So it is, you know, about double the cost. But the difference is the plants that you're getting is so amazing. So what to look for when you are getting potting soils, bag potting soils, is you want a light fluffy soil that's composted down well, that has a good mix of perlite, fertilizer, and whatever else they're putting in there. But it should be light and fluffy. You shouldn't have like big chunks of stuff to work with, especially if you're trying to grow seedlings. When I was talking about the bags that I opened up, this was in one of the bags. This is like a 4 or 5 pound rock in the middle of my bag. I think they need to work on their quality control. So I wasn't making this video to like trash Harvest Organics, but the quality of their bag soil is nowhere close to what Happy Frog is. It should also hold moisture well. You shouldn't have to water like every other day. With this Harvest Organics, I'm watering it every other day and it dries out so fast. It just like sucks the water away. When you're watering your plants, or as they start to dry out, you shouldn't see that soil pull away from the sides of your pot and create big gaps. That means everything is shrinking down in and just not staying the way that it should be. You don't want it to shrink so much that it's pulling away from the side of your pots and just drying out and not holding that moisture. When I put the water in the Harvest Organics, it just kind of drains straight through. I mean, yes, the stuff gets wet, but it doesn't hold any moisture. Within a day or so, it's completely dried out. Whereas with the Happy Frog, it's holding that moisture in a good amount, and I water it maybe once, twice a week, and I'm probably about 2 times a week, and it's good. These are actually due for watering, and they've grown so big, I'm running out of room, and I need to separate these out before they get all root bound in here, because I've got a couple of plants, 2 to 3 plants within each one of these. Whereas these, again, planted on the same day, they look like they're about to die. They're barely surviving in there. So even though they haven't got their true leaves yet, they're still just barely popping up. I'm gonna try to separate them out and add some additional dirt in here with a better potting soil and see if I can save these. Because I've got a lot of plants, a lot of seedlings in this poor quality potting soil that I need to see if I can salvage some of the stuff that's going on in here and make the rest of them look like the plants that I have planted in the better potting soil. There's some more right here behind me. So these are Chadwick cherry tomato plants. Those all have just gotten huge. They're looking beautiful in there, and I can start separating them out so I can start hardening them off and taking them outside to put in my big greenhouse now that the temperatures are starting to come up, starting with next week. So my whole point of this video was just to give you an idea that not all organic potting mixes are made the same. Really, your best bet is to make your own. I haven't taken the time to do that yet, but you can, make your own compost in your backyard or in a bin out of kitchen scraps, or if you've got, a rabbit or chickens or whatever, where you can compost all that stuff down, and then you can add perlite and some lime and other things in there to help boost up your soil. But when you are buying the bag soil, sometimes paying that little bit of extra money is going to save you a lot of heartache and give you better plants in the long run. So maybe, I saved a lot of money on this soil, on this potting soil from Harvest Organics, but if my plants don't survive, then I've lost all the seeds that I spent money on and the time that I spent planting them and doing all that. and just watering and everything. So is the cost difference really saving me anything? In this case, I would say no, especially if these plants don't end up surviving. I'm going to try to get them going again and make them look like this. So we'll see how that all turns out. So breakdown is, maybe take a look at what the ingredients are in the potting soil that you're buying when it comes to organic potting soils. Cheaper is not always better. And sometimes, like if they've got some of these extra types of fertilizer in them, like worm castings, composted back guano, seaweed emulsion, fish emulsion, those things have way more nutrients in them. And if they've got their levels right, you're going to get a much better plant at the end of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and start repotting some plants and see what I can do to get this stuff going. So if you have any questions on potting soil, I know that was just a real quick basic overview, but just kind of wanted to show you the differences. But if you have any questions, feel free to put a comment below and let me know what kind of experiences that you've had with yours. Whatever's going on in your neck of the woods, I hope that your seedlings are going great and that you're starting to get to the point where you're seeing some success and getting ready to plant stuff outside for spring. But thanks for stopping by and checking out another video. We'll see you again soon. Namaste.